I'm Laryssa from Beekeeping Made Simple, and this video is about the things I wish I knew about honeybees and beekeeping before I became a beekeeper. First tip I give people is to start with a Laryssa style beehive. Now, if you live in the United States, I say that because it is the most common beehive. And if you're looking for equipment, if you are looking for help, if you're looking to shadow a beekeeper, ask questions from people in your bee association, find a mentor, it's a lot easier when you are using the most common style equipment. Second thing is queen spotting. When you first get your beehives, make it one of your top priorities. When you're getting that package of bees or that nuke and the hive is small, it's going to be a lot easier to spot that queen bee than when the hive has 30 or 40,000 bees in it come summer. So every single time you open your hive, you want to make it one of your jobs to try to spot the queen. Because once you get a hang of it and you get to know what she looks like, it'll be a lot easier to spot her later on in the year when you have to spot her. Next thing, very important, and will not cause your hive to die, but will just cause you a lot of aggravation, is remembering bee space. This is especially important in the Laryssa style beehives, and the space we call bee space, and it's about 3/8 of an inch. And when you have this much space between comb, that's just enough space for the bees to get through. So when you put your frames in your boxes or your top bar hive or whatever you're using, you want your frames to have that bee space between them. If there is more than 3/8 of an inch, your bees are going to make comb where you don't want them to make it. Your hives will die. It's a part of beekeeping. Not every hive is going to survive. There is nothing that you can do as a beekeeper that would keep every single beehive alive forever. There just isn't. You could do everything perfect, but you can't control nature. For the average beekeeper, you should shoot for a 70% survival rate and accept that 30% of your hives probably will not survive an entire year. You can put a shallow frame in a deep box, only if it is the first box of your beehive. But if you are using a Laryssa style hive and that first box on your hive is a deep and you do not have any more deep frames, you can put shallow and medium frames in that deep box. Once you're adding your second box up and every other box after that, you have to have the right size frame for that box, or bees will probably build comb off of the frame and connect it to the box below. Speaking of equipment and boxes, if I was to start beekeeping all over again and had to buy all of my equipment, I would buy all medium boxes. Medium boxes, medium frames, and that would be it. One of the things you are turning into is a scientist. You are breeding bees, whether you like it or not, because bees are constantly wanting to swarm and reproduce. That's how we have more colonies. That's how they account for colony loss over winter. And that is something that you have to acknowledge as the beekeeper. What you should do is split your hives, and that means you have 2 smaller beehives instead of 1 large beehive. So you're essentially swarming the bees before they swarm themselves. And that is the ideal way to keep bees. If you have a queen cell in your hive, when you're opening it, leave it. It's about 16 days from egg to hatching. If the cell is a decent size so that you can see it, she's probably at least 7 days old. If it's capped, she's at least 9 days old. You want to give it till you think she is definitely at least 16 days old, plus another week. Next, lazy beekeeping is 100 times better than overeager beekeeping. My first year, I always wanted to check in on the hive, see what they were doing, pull all their frames out. The next year, I got a job working somewhere that was an hour and a half away. I ended up renting an apartment there so I didn't have to drive so much, and I didn't check my hives as much. You know, maybe once, maybe twice a month. And they did a million times better me leaving them alone. Bees actually, they don't like you. You're not their friend. They're not going to be happy to see you. They don't want their lid taken off the hive. They don't want frames taken out. They really, really hate it when you pull brood out and you disturb the brood nest. So the less time you spend opening a hive, 20 minutes is great or less, the better. Next, every hive is different, and it doesn't matter how many years you keep bees, you are always going to see different things. There is no one solution for a problem. And one hive might do really well when it comes to one area, and another hive is going to do really poorly. And so as a beekeeper, you're never going to think that you've got it all. So there you have it, my 13 years of mistakes / things that I learned later on that I wish I knew before I got started beekeeping.